Today, we're diving deep into the foggy, gaslit streets of Victorian London to unravel one of the greatest psychological thrillers ever written, Robert Louis Stevenson's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Everything kicks off with a single, chilling question that seems to be on everyone's lips, a puzzle that revolves around this one mysterious and, frankly, terrifying figure. Who on earth is Mr. Hyde?
You know, it's funny. Nobody who sees him can ever quite describe him, but they all feel the exact same thing, this instant, gut-level sense of revulsion. There's just something deeply wrong with him. And our investigation into this inhuman figure begins, as all good Victorian mysteries do, with a very concerned lawyer.
Right, so let's meet our guide through this whole mess. His name is Mr. Utterson. He's a very reserved, very rational lawyer, a man who likes facts and logic, not wild speculation.
And he is getting seriously worried about his good friend and client, the famous Dr. Henry Jekyll. Now, Jekyll is the definition of a respectable gentleman, a true pillar of the community. But lately, his behavior has become, well, bizarre, and it all seems to circle back to this mysterious Mr. Hyde.
Utterson is suddenly faced with this string of completely baffling events. First, he hears a story about Hyde brutally trampling a child and then paying the family off with a check signed by Dr. Jekyll. Then, he sees his friend's will, and you won't believe it, Jekyll is leaving his entire fortune to this same monstrous guy. Every single piece of this puzzle is illogical, but they all point toward one terrifying connection.
Utterson, being a man of logic, can only think of one possible explanation. His dear friend, Dr. Jekyll, is being blackmailed. This awful Hyde character must have some dirt on him, some dark secret from his past. It's the only thing that makes any sense. But what he doesn't know is that blackmail is about to become the least of his worries.
About a year goes by, and Utterson's anxieties suddenly explode into a full-blown nightmare. London is absolutely rocked by a horrific murder, a crime so ferocious it leaves the whole city speechless.
So, a maid, looking out her window late at night, witnesses Mr. Hyde fly into a rage and beat a well-respected gentleman, Sir Danvers Carew, to death right there in the street. The violence is just shocking, described as an ape-like fury, a total, terrifying loss of all human control. And the evidence? Well, it creates this undeniable, horrifying link. The victim was carrying a letter addressed to Utterson. And the murder weapon? It's a broken cane that Utterson himself gave to Jekyll as a gift. The connection between the good doctor and the savage murderer is now completely unbreakable. And just like that, Hyde vanishes into thin air. The whole mystery finally boils over a few weeks later. Jekyll's butler, a man named Poole, shows up on Utterson's doorstep late one night. He's absolutely terrified, and he's convinced something awful has happened to his master. Poole is sure of it. He thinks Dr. Jekyll was murdered days ago, and that some thing is now locked inside his laboratory, a creature that doesn't walk, talk, or look anything like the doctor. The entire household staff is huddled together in the hall, just paralyzed with fear. For days, all they've heard is this strange, warped voice coming from behind the lab door, frantically sending out notes begging for a certain chemical. But every time Poole brings one, the voice just cries out that it's not pure. Utterson hears that desperate voice, and he knows immediately it's Hyde's. All his worst fears are coming true. Logic and reason have failed them, so they turn to pure force. They make the fateful choice to smash down the door with an axe. They burst in, and the room is eerily calm, except in the middle of the floor is the body of Edward Hyde. He's wearing Dr. Jekyll's clothes and has taken his own life. But this doesn't solve anything. It just raises the biggest question of all. Where in the world is Dr. Jekyll?
The answer, it turns out, is sitting right on Jekyll's desk. There's a new will, leaving everything to Utterson, and a confession. But a note instructs him to first read a letter from their old friend Dr. Lanyon, who just died from some kind of terrible shock.
Lanyon's letter reads like a fever dream. He describes this crazy errand, breaking into Jekyll's lab, grabbing a drawer full of chemicals, and waiting. At midnight, this small, repulsive man shows up to claim it. And then this visitor makes him an offer. Stick around and witness something that would challenge his entire scientific understanding of the world.
So Lanyon, a man of pure science and reason, watches this creature drink the potion. And then he sees the impossible. He watches this thing convulse and change and transform right before his very eyes, into none other than Dr. Henry Jekyll. Seeing that, knowing that such a thing was real, it literally shattered Lanyon's mind and led directly to his death.
Okay, so Lanyon's letter explained the unbelievable what. Now, Utterson finally opens Jekyll's own confession to understand the impossible why. And it all comes down to Jekyll's obsession with what he called the profound duplicity of man.
Jekyll confesses that for years he'd been living a secret double life, hiding his more shameful behaviors to keep up his perfect reputation. This led him to a radical theory, that every single person isn't one being, but two, a constant battle between a good self and an evil self, all housed in one body.
He became obsessed with this idea and actually created a potion that could physically separate the two. He could be Dr. Jekyll, the respected scientist everyone admired. Or he could drink the potion and transform into Mr. Hyde, a creature of pure, unfiltered evil, totally free to indulge every dark whim without anyone ever knowing it was him.
And at first, it worked. It was a horrifying success. He had complete control. But he learned a terrible lesson. The more he let Hyde out to play, the stronger Hyde became, and the weaker Jekyll grew. Before long, the transformation started happening spontaneously, without him even taking the potion.
In the end, Jekyll was a prisoner. He'd fall asleep as himself and wake up as the monstrous Hyde. Then he ran out of the special ingredient he needed for the potion to change back, and nothing else worked. He was trapped. Trapped in the body of the monster he created, with only one way out, the final, desperate act that Utterson and Poole walked in on. So, Jekyll's story is so much more than just a spooky tale, isn't it? It's this timeless warning about the darkness that lies dormant inside all of us. And it forces you to ask yourself a really uncomfortable question. If you could create a version of yourself that could do anything, absolutely anything without consequence, would you? What would you be capable of?